Hello and welcome to another episode of the JRE Review. For those of you that are new to this review, it has no affiliation with Joe Rogan's podcast, to be clear, but it's a fan-based podcast that talks about his show and kind of reviews the episodes of the week that were interesting. I often have guests on, and guests that have been, impacted by Rogan, that are not just fans in the sense of like, oh, this was fun, I want to talk about it, like watching any old show, but like people that have been inspired by what is happening on this podcast. So that's what I do on this. This week, I want to talk about podcast 1187, Kyle Kulinski. Okay, so he's like a political activist, funny guy, hyper dude, like a lot of those guys. Very smart though. Okay, it's a great podcast, really interesting. So Joe has followed this guy for a while, and credit to him. Joe's really good at finding interesting people, of course. This guy does some fantastic things. So he went to a thing like Comic-Con, but it's like Politicon, I think it's called. I don't know. It sounds really nerdy, like I would never want to go there. But he went and got into a debate with Chris Christie. So those of you that don't know who Chris Christie is, he's kind of like a fat idiot from New York, as far as I can tell. He had like the whole bridge controversy where he like closed the bridge to be a dummy. But he also doesn't like marijuana. Yeah. So what can we say? Well, Joe didn't really appreciate that. And he also wanted to talk a lot of shit about marijuana and what it does. Yet at the same time, Kyle was like, well, defending it in the sense of like, it's not unhealthy in that sense. And Joe jumped on that, of course, and was like, well, he's a food addict, which is way more dangerous. Joe even talks about having like a giant bag of M&Ms. That's fucking hilarious. This guy, Chris Christie, eats too much. He eats too much, and that's going to kill him. Way more than marijuana ever would, so why the fuck would he even jump on that? And supposedly, Kyle Kulinski, like, really holds his own debate-wise. I've seen a few things online since I've listened to this podcast. I haven't had a ton of time to do it, but really good. He's great. He really can hold good. I wouldn't want to debate him. Holy shit. I mean, I really like the way he puts things together, so check him out. They get, obviously, into the Trump and Kanye shit. I'm sure you guys have seen it online. Ridiculous. Kanye talking to the president. Crazy rant. Like, I love you. Trump is there like, oh, cheers, Kanye. I mean, what can you say? It's like a smart move. People love Kanye, I mean, just look at his wife. She has like 110 million Instagram followers. I don't know if Kanye is on Instagram. I don't think so, but at least Twitter. He's like way too popular in a disgusting level. I mean, so what value is there? Well, the president knows. Trump is like working that angle, and they talk about it. They also move on to U.S. healthcare. It's a problem. Millions are uninsured. People go to Canada for free medical. Sure, you got to wait longer, but like people get, they at least getting some help from it. I mean, it's a tough one. I'm from England originally. In England, we have socialized healthcare. It works. It's nice for like basic stuff. I don't know what it's like when you have to do major surgeries. I would imagine having money in the US and using those capabilities is probably better, but I don't know. It's like, what's more important? Do we want just a few more basic healthcare things? Or do we just want like a really good heavy surgery? I mean, I don't know. But millions of people are uninsured, and that's a real problem. Then they talk a lot about Trump's hair and how much he spends on fucking with his hairdo, which is kind of ridiculous. He's he's a TV celebrity person. You know what I mean? So he's gonna care about that. Next, they talk about Kavanaugh, and as far as they can tell, he's a kind of a bad dude. I mean, I don't know. I watched a little bit of his stuff, and it seems like he might be. He didn't mind lying. Lied about boofing. Who the fuck says boofing is farting? It's like he talked to a bunch of his lawyer friends, and that's the best they could come up with. Listen to me, Kavanaugh. That's some fucking dumb shit. Like, you lied to everyone. That's disgusting. I don't know what to say. You know? It's just dumb. Boofing? Come on. And also, Kavanaugh kind of believes that Trump should be able to pardon himself. He's one of those types of judges that thinks that the president can pardon himself. Well, if people are above the law, it's kind of fucking terrifying. I don't know what you guys think about that. But, yeah. Then they get into, like, how much money Trump is making worldwide. I don't want to be, like, harping on anti-Trump stuff, but because that's not where I'm at. But, you know, it's important to just pay attention to what's going on, right? And it seems to be that, you know, many people that become president, they milk this system exclusively for how much they can make, like tons and tons of money. And, you know, Trump's making money in the Middle East with the Saudis. It's probably why he's getting a lot of Saudi support. He also had the call with the Taiwanese president, and that upset the Chinese, but he wants to open a hotel out there. I mean, it's worth thinking about. It's worth listening to. And some of the biggest stuff they were talking about is, like, the whole issue with like Alex Jones and Sandy Hook and the controversy and people online that have a voice getting that voice cut. Now, listen, you know, I have to say I'm with Joe on this. Alex should not have talked about Sandy Hook stuff and upset those parents. It's brutal, right? But he's a bit of a lunatic that likes to jump on stuff, and he likes to jump on it first. It's important that he's the first person to it because he's, like, uncovered some stuff. And in order to do that, you've got to be bold. You've got to be brave. You've got to put yourself out there. He did it. And when these accounts for, like, these different organizations that are just trying to spread a message are being closed, you've got to ask yourself whether it's right or wrong who's closing the accounts. What metrics are they using for closing them? And are they, I don't know. I don't want to say justified because that's not really in this context, but do they have a right to do it? And should there be a governing body that just kind of looks over this? So, yeah, it's a really fascinating podcast. It's great to listen to because Kyle has a lot of fascinating information, and Joe does what he does. He sums things up well and gets to it. So check it out. Thanks again for joining, tuning in, downloading. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Peace and love. Talk to you soon.